Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Payments Podbyte. I'm joined today by Patrick Mowatt, our Regional Sales Director in SADEC. So, Patrick, we're here today to speak about fraud in SADEC and South Africa and start to explore the reasons for why fraud is possibly so high in that region. A good place to sort of start would be that, according to research from IT Novaraka, 64% of financial institutions are seeing higher rates of account takeover fraud compared to pre-pandemic periods in South Africa. And TransUnion has also reported that the rate of digital fraud attempts globally rose 24%. Why do you think South Africa is currently experiencing such high levels of fraud?
Declan, nice to touch bases. Unfortunately, South Africa has long been a hotspot for economic crime. Since 2009, the country's incident rate has been on average 27 percentage points higher than the global average. It has recently seen a drop in the percentage of South African organizations who have experienced economic crime, returning to the levels last seen in 2011. But despite the decline, its rate of economic crime continues to remain significantly higher than the global average of 47%. Furthermore, many legacy payment solutions did not include fraud modules and separate fraud solutions which were acquired, with many also being older and outdated. For no specific reason, the tendency generally was to invest more in payment solutions than the fraud module or solution itself, and it was accepted that fraud would happen and it would be covered by insurance or budgeted loss. Furthermore, South Africa is a crime hotspot, and the criminal activity extends into the banking sector as well. Criminal activity is driven by sophisticated criminal activities driven by criminal syndicates and will include inside-related jobs as well. Although physical security is well administered and invested in, less was spent on fraud security systems to counter the sophisticated and complex crime threats.
Okay, and what have the total losses been, and what impact is this having on financial institutions and consumers' trust?
According to PricewaterhouseCoopers' 2020 Global Economic Crime and Fraud Survey, between 2018 and 2020, South Africa reported total losses from economic crime in excess of $1.7 billion, more than 25 billion South African rand. 7% of South Africa incidents reported losses of between $50 million and $100 million, while 4% reported losses of more than $100 million. These losses are obviously high, but when the values don't take into account is the hidden impact that these incidents have on it. Many of the financial institutions in the region have missed out on new opportunities and lost market share due to the reputational damage that they have suffered as a result of these incidents, and consumers have lost a lot of trust in them. With regards to trust, consumers are becoming more wary of the fraud instances where consumers have started to lose money instead of being refunded for fraudulent transactions, for example, which would have been covered by insurance or provision for loss made by financial institutions. Consumers are taking legal actions against these financial institutions, and although drawn out or possibly not resolved at the moment, they are stacking up and cases are slowly but surely being won, which results in greater financial loss for the financial institutions and increased reputational damage as such cases are published in the local media.
Okay, and how can banks start to combat these high levels of fraud?
Banks need to start getting ahead of fraud attacks by utilizing more agile, flexible, and reliable fraud management solutions that enable cross-layer channel protection to protect banking consumers. In addition, banks need to start working closer with government agencies to counter some of these criminal activities. Similar to agencies, reputable private security companies consultants also has to be utilized to fight this high crime rate. Banks even need to look at processes in support of fraud management solutions to counter the threat both internally and externally.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me today, Patrick. You provided some really interesting insight there into why the SADEC region is seeing such high levels of fraud and perhaps how financial institutions can start to combat this. For everyone, tuning in as usual. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next Podbyte.